Hello, how are we all doing? Back again for another stream with a slightly later time of 7 o'clock. So I know a lot of our American audience wasn't really around during the lunchtime slot that we did typically. So yeah, we decided to shift it up a little bit, and hopefully this works for other few people as well. Hey Jake, how's it going? We all good? Hopefully you got your paintbrushes out too, as we crack on with some Necromunda slave Ogryns today. So I've had these for a while now, and been meaning to get some paint on them, and yeah, just thought a bit of an excuse to get these guys painted up and looking suitably ready to head into the Underhive. So yeah, what we'll do is get some base skin colours down on these chaps first, and then I think we'll probably try to do some metallics, and then yeah, see how we go. We'll be streaming for a couple of hours, so hopefully get a little bit of work on these done. I see Dave has appeared in the chat as well. How are you doing, Dave? What are you guys painting today? Anything exciting? I know Dave had been working on some Deathwatch, I think, painting up using contrast, so looking forward to seeing how they look. And Jay, are you still on the Lumineth hype train? So, Craig Sinclair, how are we doing? Good to see you in the chat again. What's everyone working on tonight? And more importantly, how does this time slot work for everyone? We're kind of gauging the stream, seeing what works for people. So if you've got any suggestions of what times suit you, or you know, if any particular day works for you for the stream, let us know over on our Twitter at Sprues and Brews, because yeah, any feedback on that we'll take on. Craig somehow started painting Calgar today. Not sure how or why. I'm heading down a path of darkness. It's not the end of the world. I painted some ultramarines, well, an ultramarine the other week after a long time of giving anyone who paints ultramarines a bit of grief, and I actually really enjoyed it to the point where I've actually got another ultramarine that I want to paint up, and I think I'll be doing an ultramarine force on the back of the new Warhammer Imperium magazine. I think that's going to be a good starting point for a ultramarine army, especially as you get Guilliman and Calgar in that run. So yeah, that's going to be really exciting. So yeah, that ultramarine army I never thought that I'd do is probably going to happen at some point, as much as that depresses me. So Dave's got the bases on 5 Reavers to finish, and Jay's painting Blood Angels. Excellent. So yeah, I need to get back on the Heresy as well. I've been a little distracted the last week really, painting some historicals. So I've been working on, grab these, some black powder models. Really enjoyed painting these guys up. So I painted about 24 of them and built and primed about another 72. So want to try and get those units cracked out this week. Get some paint on them, and then I really need to work on my Sons of Horus as well. So I've got 10 veterans, 5 terminators, and 3 tanks left to do, which isn't a great deal. I should be able to crack through them pretty quickly. The main kind of armour colour goes down really quickly with the airbrush on those, and then it's just a case of going in with the details and doing all the metallics and the weathering and stuff. So yeah, they should be pretty quick to do really. So they won't take a great deal of time, so I'll probably start on those once I've done those Napoleonic models, and then hopefully get the Heresy Force done and ready for some battle reports as soon as we can, when the world returns to normal a little bit. And I'm sure we might be able to manage some Gardenhammer before then as well. So yeah, things are looking up. It's been a while since I played any 30k, so we might be a little bit rusty on it, but yeah, definitely looking forward to having a play. Dave, my plan is a custom chapter with those Marines that aren't easy to swap Deathwatch shoulder pads on. Yeah, so a lot of the models in the Imperium magazine do appear to be the easy build stuff from Indomitus. Not all of it though. I suppose the other stuff is the easy build stuff out of the, I can't remember what it's called, the box that had all the Phobos pattern stuff in it. I believe you get all of those as well. So the infiltrators, eradicators are they called? And then the jump pack guys. Yeah, I like their models. They're really cool. But yeah, with them being kind of like mono build rather than multi-part kit, it can be a little bit hard to get the shoulder pads off and make them Deathwatch. You can do it. It's just going to take you a little bit more effort and cutting and filing and stuff. So if you want to do something a bit more straightforward, then yeah, definitely custom chapter sounds cool. What colours are we thinking, Dave? I know you're a fan of Silver Marines. Any advances on that? See, I think a cool kind of bronze-coloured Space Marine army, but Shadow Spear, that's it. Cheers, Jay. Yeah, a nice bronze Space Marine army would look really nice. Something a little bit different. It's for a bronze, it's for Minotaurs. Are they bronze? You'll have to forgive me on my my Space Marine lore. I tend to only know the traitors. So yeah, metallic bronze force using the Rune Lord brass, the new spray they brought out with Indomitus, could be cool. And then you could even just paint them in those same Necron colours, wash them down in the wash that was released with that, and then build them up in a similar way. That'd look cool. Equally, you can't go wrong with silver. I did an Iron Ravens force. I think, what's the guy's name? Paul Norton in the studio's custom chapter. And they're basically silver, red and blue. Really, really nice scheme. So I did my force in line with them. I'm really happy with how they turned out. For the Indomitus stuff that's still sat in boxes below my desk, I'm kind of torn between Space Wolves and Dark Angels. Perhaps a mix of both. But the stuff in Imperium magazine I will probably do as Ultramarines, just as an excuse to do an Ultramarine. I think that'd be cool. Can't do that and not paint up Gulliman, so yeah, it's going to be done. So we're just starting out, blocking out the skin colour on these over a black base coat. I normally tend to base them black and then do like a zenithal spray in if I find it. A Vallejo grey surface primer. Gives it a nice kind of gradient, so when then you're painting the other colours, the dark bits will be in the recesses. Andy Woods in the chat and says Minotaurs are bronze. Awesome, yeah. So that's an option, Dave. I think that'd look really cool. So, thanks to everybody in the chat who voted on Twitter as well for what model we'd be painting. I had a big assortment of stuff that was on the list, and yeah, I couldn't pick myself, so left it to fate and you guys. So the other things on that list will probably appear in the coming weeks. To be honest, we're probably not going to get these guys finished tonight. We'll get some base colours down, so next week we might carry on with these. I think I'll save these for working on the stream rather than finishing them off stream. Be cool to see the progress over a couple of weeks, I think. So we've got some lobotomized guys as well. So a bit of neck there, but I think the rest of it is going to be quite metallic. I'm thinking quite kind of muted colours, greys and browns for the kind of jumpsuit that they're wearing, and then maybe like blues and greens and stuff for the trousers. For a bit of a Ogre Kingdoms throwback, I might do in a similar scheme to them. But yeah, these are big chunky models, they're cool. Looking on the Games Workshop website today, it looks like you can't actually get the box of 6 anymore. That must have just been a limited release. They do still sell the pack of 2, but you saved quite a bit with the box that contains 6 Ogryns. And obviously if you're making a gang, yeah, you want as many as you can. The only downside to the Ogryn kit is it doesn't really give you all of the options that they can take, which is a shame. So there's some suboptimal builds you can make with it, like the gun. In fact, the first guy I painted out the gun isn't perhaps the best choice for these because they've got terrible ballistic skill and they much prefer just punching people in the face. But you don't get that many close combat weapon options on the frame, really. So I've seen some people use some spare Ogre Kingdoms bits. I've seen some people use some orc knobs. Are quite good for kit bashing with these as well. So yeah, just bear that in mind if you do pick them up. You might want to have a think about how your gang is going together. I mean, I think that's safe to say for most Necromunda gangs, isn't it? You kind of want to have a think about how you want to build your gang before you build them. I mean, it's not the end of the world if plans change during your campaign, and it's another excuse to pick up some more guys, isn't it? At the minute, Forge World don't do any like upgrade kits for the Ogryns. There's not many weapons they can actually take. There's like a generic kind of close combat weapon. There's an axe. You can take these kind of power fisty things. There's two different modes of these, and I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. But the way I've differentiated between them is with the kind of power cables coming off this generator at the back, compared to the standard ones where I've not put that cable in. So that's how I've kind of differentiated between some of the different weapon options on these. So yeah. Andy says, did somebody say ogres? I mean, these are basically space ogres, aren't they? So yeah, we are painting space ogres tonight. For everyone who's in the chat at the minute, how's this 7 o'clock slot compared to the lunchtime slot? Does it work better for you? Does it work worse for you? Let us know. Hopefully we'll get Dave and Jay on one of these as well for a bit of banter and see what they're painting as well. So it's not just my stuff that you've seen all the time. See some variety in some models. But yeah, today we're just basically getting the base coats down on all these. For the skin of these guys, I'm probably going to do them quite similar to my Age of Sigmar Sons of Behemat. So we'll use lots of glazes and washes to get the face down. Give it a bit of kind of a ruddy colour, so they look either drunk or they've been in a few scraps. Get them a bit brutish looking, because I'm imagining diplomacy isn't the way that these guys are going to be operating, if I'm perfectly honest. They'll be much more likely to go and punch something in the face than talking to it. So yeah, they ain't going to be ones for chatting, are they? Really looking forward to playing some Necromunda as well. It's early last year I'd painted a lot of Zone Mortalis stuff, and unfortunately with the kind of global situation, we never really managed to have many games of it. I think me and Dave, we had a game, didn't we? And we used some of the Zone Mortalis stuff in a few 40k battles as well, but for an actual kind of full-on campaign, I think we had plans to start one and never got that far, unfortunately. So yeah, I've been painting up some Necromunda stuff over lockdown in anticipation of when the world opens up and we can crack on with it. Still got some scenery to paint as well. Got so much scenery. But I like that in Necromunda, having a nice kind of dense board filled with stuff. That kind of appeals to me. I'm a bit of a scenery nerd. I like painting scenery. So yeah, any excuse to do some cool custom kit bashes and stuff using using other kits always appeals. Looks like I've missed some on the backs of these already. Come to those in a second. So what's going down in the chat? Andy Wood's got no idea how he wants to paint his Space Marines. Dave says the 7 PM slot is better for him. And Craig says, I've been practicing dark skin tones on some of my Slaanesh mortals, finding it a bit more forgiving than painting Caucasian skin. Yeah, the models really kind of lend to it as well, with all the kind of flowing silken stuff. They've got a bit of a Arabian Nights vibe to them. And yeah, that's certainly how I'd paint mine when I do pick some up. They are gorgeous models. How are you finding it, Craig? The new kits. I've not picked mine up yet. I do want to expand the Slaanesh, but I kind of need to clear some of the backlog. If you look kind of just, you might not be able to see it, but just behind me over here, all that kind of white and plastic on the shelf is half of a Slaanesh army. Up on, I don't know if you can see it, but up on one of those top shelves, I've got my kind of chariot heavy force painted. But yeah, really need to get some paint on the demons on that shelf first before I pick up the new mortal stuff. It will happen. It will happen at some point. But yeah, too much stuff to paint, not enough hours in the day, unfortunately. So that is definitely on the list of things to do when we can. So these guys are a bit of a hodgepodge of flesh and metal bits, as they've had limbs removed or replaced with weapons and the like. So yeah, they're quite a nice mix of different textures on these, which is cool. Okay, he's looking okay. Let's go and fix those details I've missed on this guy. This base flesh probably will need another coat. It's a bit blotchy in places going over the black. So yeah, we'll go back into that once it's dried. Just touch it up a little bit. I'm sure there'll be bits that I've missed as well. The hands gloves? No, they don't look like gloves. Let's do that. Done an awful job priming these as well. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the paint should adhere okay. We'll give them a good varnish afterwards as well. Should make sure the paint doesn't chip off during games. It's not been ideal spraying weather recently. Plus my rattle cans are rapidly running out. I should have given these a once over with the airbrush, to be fair, but it's all good. I had a can of Grace here, so I was rapidly spraying some stuff up today while the weather was nice, because looking at the weather forecast, it's looking a bit rubbish for the next week. So yeah, I thought I'd get some spraying done out the way. Okay, so he's looking alright. He's looking alright. Let's move on to this guy. And what I'm using is just a little drop or two of Water Plus, just to thin this down a little bit and make it flow a bit better. Finally gets it to a nice consistency. So yeah, there's not too many head options in this kit as well. So if you did want some variety on the heads in your Ogryn gang, what I'd probably do is, yeah, use, even if you picked up a box of I can't remember what they're called now. The standard ogre guys, Major Sigmar, not brutes. I forget now. But your standard ogres, if you just use them, and then you can use the spare weapons and some of the heads, just add a bit more variety to your gang. The guys riding the Mournfangs have some cool kind of like double-handed weapons as well, so they could work quite well. You know, they're not going to be carrying around the most high-tech equipment, so it doesn't look too out of place in Necromunda, especially if you've got a mixture of the kind of more high-tech bits that you're going to be adding to the kit anyway. So Andy Woods is currently painting some pink horrors. Painting pink skin is interesting. Craig Blissbob archers are lovely but so detailed. Painbringer's twin souls are also super detailed but less colourful. Zigvald is just phenomenal. He's also in about 5 sub-assemblies. Yeah, I imagine that's probably a good idea. I haven't seen the kit myself yet, but certainly that cape I'd probably want to leave separately to make it a bit easier to get to. Yeah, it is gorgeous. So pop us some photos up when you get to him, Craig. I'd like to see that. Also, did anyone notice that the mortal in the Dread Pageant that's dressed as a Blissbob archer doesn't have a bow and has a pole arm? Seems there might be non-range Blissbob units soon. To be honest, probably not soon, but it's certainly something that we could see in a future book or a supplement. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I was kind of a little bit surprised that they weren't a dual build with that as an option. Equally, it could just been when they did the Underworld's Warband, they sort of thought, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, we'll add this in. Yeah, there's quite a lot of freedom, I think, in the Underworld's Warbands for just cool stuff that the sculptors like. Hopefully, we should see the Lizardmen soon as well. Also, we've got no pre-orders this week or next week, so no new kits for a little bit. I believe 2 weeks yesterday, the Drakari book's up for pre-order, and they shared that on Warhammer Community, so that should be interesting. I can see that having some cool Crusade content. And also, there's been a lot of stuff about Curse City recently, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's one of the earlier pre-orders when they're back. But yeah, I think basically with the current global situation, they just need a couple of weeks to kind of catch up with things, so it's fair enough. Gives me a few weeks to catch up on some painting myself, so yeah. Ogre Gluttons, that's it. Cheers, Dave. Yeah. Yeah, box of them, box of these. Kit bash them. You'll have loads of options for different ogres, Ogryns even. I mean, there's also the Ogryn kit for the Astra Militarum as well. That could be a good use of parts for him if you want a bit more variety. Basically, you've got 2 poses. Where are we? So you see, you've got a guy standing and a guy running, and then you've got 3 or 4 different arm combos and a couple of these different generators. So you've got a bit of variety. I think with the 6, I probably got as many combinations as you can get out of it though. So if you were adding any more, yeah, you probably want to add some variety. There's lots of ogre kits. Maybe the Blood Bowl ogres as well could be good, because they're running the quite dynamic poses. Add some of the kind of power fists and stuff to them could work. In fact, yeah, I think that would look really good. And then there's quite a few different sculpts of those guys, so yeah. If anyone's got any suggestions on converting up different looking Ogryns, let me know, because I'm interested, because let's face it, I'm probably going to have more than these 6 guys once the warband's up and running. This poor guy's only got 1 arm and an axe, but you know, it's fine. He's a lobotomized Ogryn. Sure there's worse things that could happen to him on Necromunda. To be fair, you get a few different kind of chest pieces as well, so there is a bit of variety on here. I think the only thing that's really kind of lacking are the weapon options, so for a kind of competitive list, you probably do want some more kind of just generic hand weapons, because the guns, as cool as they are, they're never going to hit with them. So you're better off just giving them an axe to whack someone over the head with. But yeah, they're really nice models. I mean, I like all the Necromunda stuff. It's a nice little palette cleanser. You know, say if you are burnt out doing an army, it's often nice to paint something a bit different, give you a bit of a palette cleanser. So with the Necromunda gang only being a handful of models, it's it's quite nice to do kind of between projects or midway through a project if you're feeling a bit burnt out. Hence painting some of this stuff tonight, because like I say, I've been working on this Napoleonic stuff for the last week, so I just wanted to break it up a little bit. Doing quite a bit of work on them on today. Some 95th rifles are nearly finished. I might get them done after the stream. If not, I'll probably look to finish them off on Monday before we record the podcast. And then, yeah, like I say, once they're all done, the next job is getting the Sons of Horus finished, and then take some photos of them, and then at least that's an army done then. What I also might do is start working on a post, because we're almost a year of this weird world that we're in. So I was thinking of maybe doing a post chronicling all the various armies and projects that I've done over the year, breaking it down month by month. What do people think of that? Does that sound like something you'd want to read, or maybe even do a video on? Let me know. I've managed to crack out a lot of armies this year. It's been pretty fun. I've also started a lot of armies that I haven't finished as well, so I need to get them done. I suppose the difference is normally when we'd be painting stuff for tournaments and the like, it gives us a bit of a deadline. Obviously we haven't had that because there's been no tournaments to play. Likewise, when we're painting stuff for reviews and videos and stuff, we'll try and get them painted up. So we did do Kill Team Pry Nexus in a week. That was fun. But obviously in a perfect world we'd be playing some games with those models, but we can't play games at the minute, so we've just had to get some images of them up, and hopefully if we can start playing games in the next couple of months, we can start doing it. Dave says, take note, podcast fans, our podcast is actually up later this week. We're recording Wednesday for release Thursday evening. Yes, I had completely forgotten that, Dave, so thanks for reminding me that we're not actually recording the podcast tomorrow. I'd have been there sat on the computer thinking that you'd all abandoned me. So yeah, I believe we've got a super duper special guest star on this week's show, haven't we, Dave? I don't know if we've announced it yet, so I'll let you announce it in the chat if we have done. But yeah, super duper special guest, I think, this week. And then yeah, we might get a guest for the following one as well, because we still won't have any pre-orders yet. So we'll have a think about who wants to come on the show. And then yeah, hopefully we'll be back to, weekly releases and all that fun stuff, so we can talk through some books and tactics and our thoughts on them. Because that's what you all want, isn't it? That or Tales of Dave Rolling Ones, I think, is the main topics. We have got a cool top 3 on the podcast this week, though. So this week we want to know what 3 Black Library books you'd like to see made into movies. So yeah, so that's a bit of fun. And the cool thing is, obviously, with Warhammer Storyforge, we might kind of see this kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued what we actually do get in the real world. So Dave says it's Dave from Mini Wargaming joining us. So yeah, that'd be cool. I'm a fan of their videos, so it'd be cool to have a chat with Dave. It's gonna be a confusing podcast, isn't it? Because the other chap from Mini Wargaming is called Matt, isn't he? So yeah, this could rapidly get really confusing. It'll be fine. We'll be Dave 1 and 2 and Matt 1 and 2. I'm sure that won't be confusing at all. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. That's why we're recording a little bit later this week, just because we needed to accommodate Dave. So yeah, it'd be fun. Looking forward to that one. I believe Dave and Jay have been playing some cool games on Tabletop Simulator. So I don't know if you want to share your thoughts about that, guys. I can't get on with Tabletop Simulator. I know I've said it before on the podcast, but it's not the same as rolling dice properly, is it? Yeah, the appeal to me is pushing around painted models and rolling dice and having a bit of a banter. And mechanically, you can play the game on Tabletop Sim. It's not the same as playing properly. It's a little bit janky as well. I know some people swear by it, and some people have enjoyed doing tournaments and the like on it, but it's not for me, I'm afraid. I'd rather crack on and do some painting, I think, than have a game on there. Now, I may have been tarnished by some games that I had on it. I played. We were playing a Middle-earth strategy battle game. Battle Companies, is it called? We have a small kind of warband. And we'd got quite far in, but we had some frustrating games where the way the kind of scenery interacted with the models and made things fall over. Yeah. It just made it a little bit cumbersome to play, in my opinion. Nothing against anyone who enjoys it. But yeah. I don't know. The spectacle's always part of it for me as well. That's part of the reason why I like events like Throne of Skulls, where you can just see some gorgeous models. So I do want to give some proper tournaments a go though, like the GT. That was on my kind of to-do list last year, but unfortunately COVID scuppered that. So maybe this year. I mean, I don't know. I know the Purple Sparkly Unicorns have got a tournament lined up in September. Apologies again, Andy, if that isn't public knowledge yet, but there you go. Exclusive on the stream. So yeah, looking forward to doing that, because the Purple Sparkly has always put on a good event, and I believe it is at Element Games this year as well. So yeah, that'd be cool. Despite them being our one of our sponsors, I've never actually been to Element Games store and kind of events venue. So yeah, it'd be good to pop down there and play some Warhammer. And then yeah, hopefully Warhammer World start doing events. I mean, realistically, if we look June out of lockdown, maybe, if all things go well. I don't know if Games Workshop will be having events in the last half of the year until things are kind of back to normal more. I'd hope so. I'd certainly go to some if they did. So guess we'll see how the next few months take us, and if numbers drop as they slowly ease the restrictions. Certainly something to look forward to if they do, though. That'd be cool. I fancy another doubles event. I think I've done a doubles with Dave, I've done a doubles with Jay. Andy, I don't think we've done a doubles together, so I think that needs to be done at some point. I know you've always got faith. Last doubles we went to, me and Jay were playing a kind of dwarven alliance. We had beards and everything. It was quite a bit of fun. I mean, like big kind of grey beards rather than this chin squig I've got. So we've got some flesh colours down. I'm just going to go back and just touch up some of these guys where we need to. And then what we'll probably do is start moving on to the metal areas. The armour I'm going to kind of do in the same scheme as the stuff on the GW site. So kind of yellow, weathered armour with kind of chips and rusting and all sorts of muckiness on them. Because I think that looks cool. And the yellow kind of really stands out. Plus, it gives me a nice option of using these guys as kind of mercenaries for my other gangs as well. So yeah, I've got a Van Saar gang I need to build as well. And after watching an awful lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion the last few months, I'm kind of thinking metallic purple armour and then some bright green and orange detailings on it. So yeah, pretty much the Unit 1 colour scheme for my Necromunda Van Saar gang. I think that'd look really cool. And do it all with metallics. So yeah, metallic green, metallic purple. Because I think the official screen is that, but inversed. I think they were kind of like dark green suits with some purple details. So inverse that, will have a purple suit, some fluorescent green details, and then basically details to match Unit 1. So kind of orange soles of the shoes. There's a bit of an orange area under the kind of neck of it. So as much as that as I can translate to the Necromunda figures, I think that'd be fun. They should look pretty cool anyway. I just think with their arcane and weird technology, they'd have a kind of alien-looking colour scheme, especially with the metal and stuff in there. If you saw us paint Iron Man, wherever he's gone, the other week, oops. So obviously really bright metallic red, using Metal Plus by Instar. So we'll do the same again to create a purple and a yellow, because I think that looks cool. Really bright, shiny Van Saar, so you can see where they are. And then by then we might have some new Cawdor as well. In fact, speaking of Necromunda, what did everyone think of those really cool looking Water Guild models that we saw the other day on Warcom? They looked really cool. If you're close to Warcom, Dave, if you could throw a link in the chat, that'd be much appreciated. But yeah, they're really, really cool looking models. Maybe because there's an Ogryn in that as well. It kind of looks like the Big Daddy from Bioshock. But yeah, they're really cool looking. There's one of the bounty hunters I've got. One of the bounty hunters I've got. Can't remember what he's called. Something Mist maybe. But he's got kind of like an Oriental style hat, and he's got kind of like the water extraction thing on his kind of bodysuit. He looks very kind of Water Guildy. I really like to paint some of that model, so yeah, any excuse to paint up some more weird and wacky Necromunda stuff like that, I'm going to take it. 100%. Dave says, oh, Water Guild on it. Awesome. Dave fancies rewatching Gundam, but I know I want a Tau army, and I could do with no further projects right now. You know what? This may shock some of you, know that I'm a bit of a anime nerd, but I've never actually watched Gundam, any of the series. I think some of them are on Netflix, aren't they? Any recommendations as a starting point for someone getting into Gundam? Yeah, I've been trying to catch up on some anime, and I watched Your Name last night. That's a good film on Jay's recommendation. That's a really cute film. And I've been rewatching Evangelion because well, I think we were talking about it the other night, and basically just got excited to watch that again. I've been trying to get hold of the rebuild film, so 1.1, 1, 2.22, 3.33, and I did have 1.11 on DVD, but I can't find it, and it goes for silly money on eBay. Basically, I think it's been out of print for a while, and it's hard to get hold of. The second and the third one are easier to get hold of, but obviously you want to see the first one first. And essentially, it's not a scene for scene remake of Evangelion. It's more of a reimagining, so there's a different storyline. Some elements are similar, and I think it starts off pretty much the same way, and then it deviates quite quickly then to its own story. So yeah, I've been meaning to watch them. And there is a rumour circulating that I think tomorrow they're doing an announcement about the final film, 3.0 plus 1.0, coming out in Japan finally. And it's rumoured that on the same day, Amazon Prime will be announcing that they've got the rebuild films worldwide. And it wouldn't surprise me if they distribute the final Evangelion film, 3.0 plus 1.0. These are silly names. I think that they are probably going to distribute that in non-Japanese markets. So yeah, so that'd be cool. So I'll be able to watch the full rebuild of Evangelion series, which is ace. Because yeah, the original series is so old now, and basically think that, but redone with kind of modern animation and given a bit of a lick of paint, a bit of CGI in there as well. Yeah, it should be really fun. Of course, it could all be bobbins and nothing gets announced tomorrow, but that's what I've heard. Obviously, also heard on Warhammer Community today that tomorrow they're showing off the new Be'lakor model. I mean, they haven't outright said we're showing off Be'lakor tomorrow, but yeah, it's pretty obvious who it is from the thumbnail. Once everyone's thought he looks like a big boy, and I've got the original just in front of me there, and he's a bit puny now, even compared to some of the other Demon Princes. So a massive new Be'lakor model, especially if it lets me do a full demon army in Age of Sigmar. I will be all over that, because as I mentioned earlier, I've got a load of demons I need to finish off, and I've got a massive demon army. I've got, I don't know if you can see, you can't see, on this table below it, I've got loads of IKEA units filled with really useful boxes, and I've got about 4 squares of this unit filled with demons. So I've got at least 2,000 points for every god. For Nurgle, it's probably quite a bit more. I've probably got about 3,500 points in Nurgle. Slaanesh painted, I've got about 2,000 points, maybe even a little bit more, but I've probably got at least another 1,000 unpainted, so it'd be cool to be able to use all of them in a massive game at some point. So yeah, especially if Be'lakor can be... if Be'lakor gets rules for 40k as well, and a new Demon Codex, yeah, I'll be all over that. The bit I'm undecided on is basing. I've tried to keep all my demon basing fairly consistent, so I can use them for either system. With some of the stuff, it's all on the Shattered Dominion, is it? The bases that they brought out back at the start of Age of Sigmar. So they're all on those bases. Apart from the stuff that doesn't fit on those bases, they've basically got kind of like a brown and kind of scorched earth kind of look. So they mix in all right with the other stuff. But yeah, I was tempted to base all the Slaanesh stuff on sand to go with the Dread Pageant, kind of sculpt some sand dune bases. Kind of glad I didn't do that now. If Be'lakor's on the way and there's hope of being able to do a full demon force. I played demons in Warhammer Fantasy, and I loved having different units on the battlefield, different looks, rather than it being mono god. So I really hope it allows you to do that again, and that there's a kind of a summoning mechanic built into how the army plays. Again, it might not happen. It might just be, Be'lakor can be taken, I don't know, in unmarked god armies maybe. That'd seem like a bit of a missed opportunity though, so I imagine we will get some kind of new demon rules in the book, especially if he's going to be the focus of the third Broken Realms book. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Jay says Castlevania is a brilliant anime. I watched the first season of that. Need to watch the second one. That's definitely on my to-watch list. And Andy says, I wonder if the Bellicor model will have two bases, one for 40k and one for AOS. That's an interesting point. Because I think there's some dead Chaos Warriors on the base, isn't there? We should point to it being more kind of AOS styled than 40k styled. I mean, if they're really clever, they could just have a Black Legionnaire maybe on the base. Because Bellicor isn't really friends with the other kind of Chaos armies, is he? He feels in both universes, he feels a bit kind of cheated that he should be the kind of chosen of the gods, and he isn't. He's been overlooked for Archeon or Abaddon. So yeah, he's an interesting one. He could potentially be like an anti-chaos army, which would be fun. So we've got the skin down on these 6 chaps. So I think next step will be painting the metallics. So we'll give the brush a bit of a clean, get some paints ready. And then yeah, blocking the metallics. Then we'll do the yellow, I think. And then we'll go in with some kind of like leathery colour for the straps and the kind of suits they're working. And then trousers in a couple of different colours, maybe some oranges and blues. And then, yeah, once all that's done, it'll be a point of then washing it all down. And then we'll go in with some kind of chipping and weathering on all the armour, because these guys aren't going to take care of their armour, are they, realistically? So, get a nice point on the brush. Some people lick brushes. I tend to use the fold of my hand. Kind of just run it down there to get the brush into a point. Never been one for brush licking myself. Can't imagine it tastes very nice. So let's get some silver down on there. So some of this we'll go over with brass, but we're basically going to get a base silver down on all metallic areas, because then we can do a bit of a worn, rusty look to it. So let's start with this chap here. And again, on the helmet, I'm actually going to do it all silver, I think. And then the yellow we'll put over that in patches, so that we can see the kind of armour, the original armour colour chipping underneath it. Because like I say, these guys aren't going to take great care of their armour. Andy, I wonder... Yeah, looking forward to Bellicor. I'm interested to read the lore book, Broken Realms 3. Obviously, we're still waiting for Teclis as well. So I hope we see that sooner than later as well. I mean, we might, obviously with the current kind of delays to the race schedule and how things have moved around, we might actually get these 2 books quite quickly, one after the other. Which also suggests the Lumineth Realm Lords Battle Tome 2 will be out around about the same time. If you are interested in elves with pointy ears, I would check out the website spruesandbrews.com, as Jay has done an awesome write-up today, kind of detailing what we'd like to see for the Lumineth and his kind of stuff that he's worked out based on the information that we've got. So yeah, definitely check that out, because it's a really cool article. Again, chaps, if you could stick that in the chat, that'd be much appreciated. Anonymous Rex, how's it going? It is going swell, thanks. How are you? As I said earlier, we've got a kind of a new time slot we're trying out for the stream. I think 12 o'clock UK time, was a bit of a struggle for some people to see. So we've moved it out to a later show at 7 o'clock, streaming for a couple of hours. Potentially looking to do a Tuesday show at the same time as well. So let us know if this suits you better. I think 12 even for people in the UK. People are having lunches and we're out, so I'm hoping that with the 7 o'clock show, more people will be able to kind of watch it live with us, which is cool because it's all about doing some hobby and having a chat with you guys. So yeah, now we're just doing the fun job of all the metal on these slave Ogryns as part of my Necromunda force. Necromunda's such a cool game, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, I like 40k, I like most Games Workshop games, but there's something about kind of close, claustrophobic games in a kind of a dense kind of environment. You know, your battlefield can be quite small kind of footprint, but build up as well, which is cool. It's adds another kind of like element to it, where you've got different kind of levels and you can knock people off platforms, and yeah, I really like that side of things. Plus the Zone Mortalis scenery is amazing as well. That's one of my favourite releases from Games Workshop for a long time. And I've still got a load of it to build. Been having a few ideas about some more custom tiles I can do. A lot of the stuff I've built kind of modular, so I can put together different layouts. But I did over Christmas build an Orlock mining drill, so a big kind of bespoke piece all stuck together. Basically used, what was in it? 2 lots of the columns set. We've got some stairs and platforms in there. We've got bits of the Sector Mechanicus range in there, and the majority of the Genestealer Cult drill as well. All bodged together into a big platform to act as a nice scenery focal piece. So yeah, it was really fun to do. So I'm planning on doing the same this time, using the storage containers and basically making them into kind of container shops. So Dave's bar has got to be one of these, but essentially cut the loads of people have done it online. Cut the containers in two, turn them into little shops, and have kind of like weapon shops and all sorts in there. So that's the next project for the Necromunda stuff. Again, in no kind of real hurry to get it done, so I've just kind of been bouncing between different projects as they take my fancy, basically. Keeps things fresh without feeling forced to do an entire army in one go. I kind of bounce around. Which also means I get distracted by new armies as they come out, but hey, it's one of those, isn't it? So, they could do a lot with a water temple. Who's this? The Lumineth. Yeah. Anonymous Rex, Sunday nights is a good time. Any good Necromunda gangs with auto guns for Chaos Cultist substitutes? There's actually in House of... No, Book of Ruin, I think it's called. Has got rules for Chaos gangs for Necromunda. And if you can still get them, which I'm not sure you can pretty much use the entirety of the Blackstone Fortress models as the basis of your gang. I'm sure that was intentional. But yeah, if you pick up Book of Ruin, I'll double check that. I'm fairly certain it's Book of Ruin. In fact, you know what? It's right here. Let me just double check. Book of Ruin. I can't see. Book of Ruin. Yeah, Book of Ruin. Helot Chaos Cult Gangs. So they are all in that book. So you can have Psykers and Chaos Spawns and all sorts. So yeah, I would pick up that book if you do want to do a Chaos band for Necromunda. That'd be a really cool conversion project as well. Lots of fun stuff you could do. So yeah, definitely a cool one. Craig Sinclair, I can't believe how much my style of painting has changed this year. Finally got over the fear of change. Yeah, I mean it's one of those, isn't it? It's you kind of have your safe painting styles that you're used to. Different methods can be scary sometimes as well, especially if you've not got someone to show you in person as well. That's something I've struggled with in the past. It's it's okay to say, oh yeah, dry brush this piece, but unless somebody shows you how to dry brush, it can be difficult. And that's one thing where the Warhammer TV guys have really helped out with the kind of videos and stuff that those guys put out. It kind of helps show how to do those techniques rather than just being told in a book. 'Cause remember when I started playing, the painting guys were very much, unpainted model, do the base coat, step 3 with a fully painted heavy metal model. And it's like, okay, how do we get to that point? Is there some steps I've missed in between? So yeah. Dave says Dave's bar. Yep. Absolutely. Which does mean, Dave, I'm going to have to sculpt or convert up or something, a Necromunda version of you as the bartender. In fact, this is going crazy. If we can get some like LEDs inside it and have a big kind of flashing light on the outside of it, how cool would that be? I'll tell you, it'd be amazingly cool. So yeah, and then when we get back to the real world, we'll definitely be doing some Necromunda games. Jay, had you settled on a faction yet for Necromunda? I know the the Cawdors had some appeal with their fanatical faith in the Emperor and their ghetto custody stylings. In fact, Woods, are you up for playing some Necromunda with us when we can? Jay says Dark Eldar are inbound. What are people hoping for? I used to have a Dark Eldar army a long time ago. They were like a dark blue with ice blue highlights, and then the weapons were gloss silver with blue and orange energy sources. Very much inspired by the game Portal. And I would like to revisit them at some point, because I think they were pretty cool. But, like I said earlier, there's so many things that I need to finish off first. There's no immediate plans to do a Dark Eldar army. I think they could get some cool stuff, though. I think they'll be able to do some really fun stuff with the Dark Eldar. Jay says, Cordra, if you can't play Adeptus Custodes and Necromunda, then obviously choose the Custodes fanboys. Yeah, because, a bolter strapped to a stick is pretty much a Guardian Spear. I'm sure it's exactly as efficient. I've got a Dalat gang, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they get in their House of Book as well. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be the last one, aren't they? Custodes. Cawdor up next, and then end of the year, I guess, for Dalat. I'm sure it'd be worth waiting for, though. Yeah. So all the other gangs, if you don't know, have basically had a new sprue with a couple of new units added. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what all the various gangs get. Dave says, "Be right back. Thinking my washing machine just went bang." Okay, that's worrying. You're a follower of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I'm sure you can fix it up, Dave. You've not had much luck with your electricals, have you? Thoughts and prayers with Dave's washing machine. Andy Woods would give Necromunda a go. Awesome. That sounds fun. What gang would you be interested in, Andy? I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, I'd probably go with the Venator Bounty Hunter gang, so I can use all the awesome Necromunda models that Forge World have released. Because they're amazing, and because then I could play with a squat. In fact, I've got 2 squats. And a Beastman. And that's the only excuse I need to play Necromunda, basically. Craig Dark Supplement, House of Trenchcoats. Yeah, absolutely. Trenchcoats and moody music. Potentially some vampires as well. Yeah, I feel the Delac all hang around kind of moody, dark, grim metal clubs. Listening to, I don't know, Marilyn Manson or something. Very much in a Matrix style. So there's a lot more metal on these than I thought there was going to be, to be honest. I thought a lot of this was the yellow of the armour, but yeah, there's quite a few metallic components, so we'll block all this in and then we'll probably work on the yellow, then the undersuit. So I don't think we'll get it all done on today's stream, but there'll be some left for the next time, next week maybe. But yeah, these are really cool models. I am surprised that the big kind of box with 6 of them's gone. I guess it was just a limited kind of money saving box. So yeah, for future, if you do see anything like that, I'd probably pick it up sooner rather than later. Because I don't think these guys have been out terribly wrong. Did they come out with House of Chains? I want to say. I mean, to be honest, I can't remember when that came out. The last kind of years blur together. It was the first new Necromunda book, wasn't it? So it might have been December 19, maybe. So yeah, I guess it's been out for a while. But yeah, the exciting thing is once they've done all these House of books, is what they're going to be working on next. And you know, we've already seen the cool new models for the Water Guild. Obviously, there's lots of awesome stuff in the various kind of minor guild allegiances you can do in those books as well. We've got the Slavers Guild. We've got models, and I think at the minute they're the only ones that do. So yeah, it's interesting to see what we're going to get. Oh, Craig tells me February 2020. I thought it was further ago than that. I thought it was the previous December. There you go then. Yeah, that makes sense. I think they brought one out every quarter, didn't they? Obviously, COVID impacted it a little bit. Yeah, this is why I've been excited about playing Necromunda and not being able to have a game then. Because, yeah, I'm a big fan of all those books. I mean, just from a lore point of view, they're really cool, but the kind of gaming content in them is really fun. Especially those gang allegiances, so I really want to see the rest of the models brought out for it. Andy's not really looked at the gangs for Necromunda. Jay says, do you think there's a chance for a fantasy-based version of Necromunda? Yeah, there is. Mordheim. And I would be very surprised if Mordheim doesn't come back. Mordheim is essentially the Necromunda rule set mixed with the Warhammer Fantasy rule set. So and it was super popular and had some gorgeous models. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that Mordheim will come back in some form. It'd sell like hotcakes. I imagine they'd tie it into the old world. So I think we're more likely to see the old world first, which we still don't know when it's due to release, and it's probably still a few years away. And then Specialist Games bring out... I mean, to be honest, they'd probably just call it Mordheim. I don't think they'd change it at all. They maybe just expand on the lore and, you know, maybe have lots of new bespoke gangs that they can invent. Because there's quite a lot of different warbands by the end of the life of Mordheim. So they could, you know, do a very similar release schedule to Necromunda, where a book comes out every quarter, adding new options for various warbands. I always like the Carnival of Chaos, the Nurgle circus, basically. If you think kind of Papa Lazarou crossed with Nurgle, you're not too far off. And yeah, that was really cool. It came with kind of like a caravan and some like circus dressed plague bearers. I think there were some cool Nurglings in that set as well. But yeah, they were really fun. So if we do get Mordheim back, I'd very much like to see them. The original Mordheim kind of human sprue, the one that came in the starter box, was really, really nice because you could make a few different human factions with it and had loads of cool little weapon options. Sadly, you've not been able to buy it for quite a while now, but I'd love to see that kind of reimagined. The Skaven got new kits alongside that as well, with options for all your various assassins and stuff. So yeah, I think Mordheim would be super popular, and loads of people would be wanting to play that. You know, there was a vampire warband. There was various kind of like beastmen and creatures that lived outside the city. We had, what was the elf called? There was an elf that you got free with White Dwarf. Something the Twilight, I want to say. He was a really nice model. Similar to Necromunda, you had kind of like named heroes that you could hire as mercenaries. That, yeah, they wouldn't necessarily stick around as part of your warband, but you could pay them to help out for a game. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Andy likes the Palatine Enforcers. Yeah, they're cool models. They are pretty cool. Right, we've nearly got the metal down on this guy. What about you guys? Would you like to... there you go. Oh, Einar the Twilight. That's... it was a really cool model. Yeah, metal model that came free with White Dwarf. And it was amazing looking. I don't know when that was now. A long time ago. I believe I've still got the Mordheim rulebook kicking around somewhere. It's not in this room. It's with all... I've got another bookcase with all my old kind of Warhammer books on. So I might have to dig that out later and get some pictures up on Twitter with all the hype for Mordheim on the stream today. Did any of you guys play Mordheim? Or have played it since? Similar to Necromunda, really benefiting from kind of dense industrial scenery. Mordheim would be a great chance for them to release a nice multi-part fantasy scenery kit. So the old what was it called? It was like a house and it had a chapel. Fortified mansion. The old fortified mansion was often seen as like the pinnacle of Warhammer kits. So I'd like to see that kind of like reimagined and done maybe in a slightly cleverer way to make an awesome multi-part kit that can go together in a few different ways. A bit like the houses they did for Rohan for Middle-earth. And if they did that kit, then Mordheim's a logical step. Since you could kind of go between different floors and jump from building to building, it was really quite cool. So yeah, any excuse to do that, it'd be really fun. If they did bring it back, I imagine that's what they'd do as well. Seems a bit of a no-brainer, because then they could also sell the same plastic kit for games of the old world. And that's assuming it's a 28mm game. I am assuming that. I know a lot of people online have said, "Oh, it's going to be 10mm." Yeah, I'm not convinced. They made a big deal of square bases coming back, and I think it's going to very much operate in the same way as Horus Heresy does to 40k. So being essentially a spin-off game with more complex rules, using the same scale but different miniatures. Because if you think about it, a game of Horus Heresy, technically you can use the existing 40k miniatures to play it, but realistically you're going to want to use the retro kind of styled models that Forge World sell. And again, technically you could use your old Rogue Trader era models, but each legion's got its own unique units that you're going to really want to buy the actual kit for. And I think it'll be very much the same in the old world, where technically you could probably get away if you had some old kits, but realistically there's going to be new units and cool stuff released. And new factions, Kislev, they made a big kind of talk about inventing new units for them, and the same with Cathay that we've never seen before. I can see Araby being added with like lots of gin and stuff like that. So yeah, I can see there being loads of fun stuff. Imagine if we get Tomb Kings for the old world. People go crazy for that, especially if there's awesome new kits that come out to replace the older stuff that we've got. Because let's not forget, a lot of those old kits you can't buy anymore anyway. Empire have probably got the most kits, but even they haven't got a full range. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of cool kind of reimaginings of old models, maybe in the same way that Horus Heresy has lots of homages to old Rogue Trader stuff. And that'll be really exciting for people who people at our age that were into the hobby back then. Nostalgia counts for a lot, I think, in the hobby, and that's something that kind of Games Which we've really done with a lot of recent releases. Kind of looking at some of the old kits and old models that we used to have back in the day, and kind of revisiting them in different ways. So yeah, looking forward to it. Again, don't know when it's coming out. I think it'll be popular when it does. Exactly, yeah. Craig Sinclair, imagine a mega gargant-sized bone giant for Tomb Kings. Yeah, and that's another reason why I don't think it's going to be 10mm like some people seem to think it is, because it's all about the big impressive kits, isn't it? And if you can do an awesome, cool, dragon, Karl Franz reimagined, maybe. Yeah, there's lots of cool stuff you can do. So, and it's not to say that a 10mm game wouldn't be cool. It would. You can do those really big epic games, but they've done that, and it was called War Master. And if War Master had been more popular, I imagine it'd still be around now. Same with Epic, really. Now I can see Epic coming back in some form. We've got you know, the Adeptus Titanicus Titans. We've got the Aeronautica stuff, which is the same scale. So it's not a stretch to think that there might be some infantry and tanks added at some point. In fact, when we were at Warhammer Fest a couple of years ago, the guy who sculpted the was it the Reaver Titan, I want to say, had sculpted a little land speeder, I think it was, just for scale. So yeah, I can see kind of. I've always said Siege of Terror would make a good kind of starter set for an epic scale game, especially if you set it in the Heresy. And the advantage of setting it within the Heresy is that you don't need to create sprues for multiple factions, basically. You've got a Space Marine force that can be used by the Loyalists and the Traitors, and then the more kind of unique units that they have released as resin kits. That's kind of how the Titanica stuff works at the minute, with the kind of the generic stuff that everybody can take being a big plastic kit, and then the more niche stuff coming out as resin. So yeah, that's what I think we'll see. I may be wrong. I don't necessarily know the future. It'd be cool though, wouldn't it? I would love to see an epic scale game brought back, just because it lets you do kind of massive battles without needing the space that a big game of Apocalypse or something that'd need. Because an epic scale game on a 6x4 table is going to have an awful lot of units. They're just smaller, so you can get the spectacle of those big kind of battles. The previous edition of Epic was set on Armageddon, but obviously that meant that, you know, orcs were needed, and the Imperial Army, Imperial Guard. So by making it Heresy, you can basically have an infantry sprue that's got tactical marines, terminators, veterans, dreadnoughts, command squads on it, and they're all tiny, so you know you can fit all that on a sprue, because that's how they did it back in the original run. And then that same sprue can be used for the traitor forces as well, so it kind of makes it dual purpose. And then you can have a vehicle sprue with your rhinos and predators and land raiders on. Potentially, depending on, you know, sprue budgets and stuff, they could have a kit that does rhinos, a kit that does land raiders. I think that's less likely though. I imagine we'd see a vehicle sprue, an infantry sprue. And then obviously we've already got the Titans, we've already got the aircraft, so they could just either use the same models or rebox them. It makes that new game need less resources to get it up and running. And then, you know, they can release Legion specific upgrade packs as resin, or if the game's, you know, popular, they could potentially put out a plastic kit for each Legion. If you think about Blood Bowl, originally there was minimal plastic stuff in there because they weren't sure it was going to be super popular. When now, outside of like special characters, start players and stuff, pretty much everything's plastic. And we've got more complex teams, so I don't think it's completely out of the question that we wouldn't get a, you know, Sons of Horus box with their unique characters and units in. The only thing going against that is that obviously a resin pack containing, I don't know, the Primarch, Abaddon, Malagurst, for example, they could sell that as a resin kit and have multiple different sets for different characters and stuff. If you think a Primarch in epic scale is not going to be massive, they could easily do a character pack with the kind of various important bits and bobs. Because let's face it, your kind of named characters would only be like upgraded leaders for your squads. Be cool if they had a model that would relate to them. And again, before anyone gets too excited, this is all rampant speculation. I know nothing. I just think it'd be cool. So we're getting there on the silver on these guys. This is probably the most time-consuming step. 2 more of these to go, and then we can start thinking about putting the yellow down as well. But yeah, they're really nice models, these. To be fair, most of the Necromunda models are nice. There's a nice mixture of different styles of models and different things on them. Yeah, they do. They do appeal. Out in the chat, what's everybody's favourite Necromunda model? Are you familiar with much of the range? Are there any kits that you'd like to paint yourself? Quite a few kits as well. It can be a nice basis of some 40k conversion stuff. So Pegastix on Twitter has used Cawdor bodies mixed with Skitarii heads and weapons to make some really creepy looking Skitarii. A bit more kind of fanatical and religious than the stock models, and they look really cool. If you I don't know what the link is on Twitter, I'm afraid, but if you search for Pegastix, it's one of our recent tweets. But yeah, she's done some really cool conversions using the Necromunda stuff. I've often thought that some of the gangers could make good Astra Militarum forces as well, a bit more modern, because that both the Catachan and the Cadian kits are quite dated now. So yeah, it'd be fun to see them do some new stuff with them. But in the meantime, yeah, give it a go, converting up from some Necromunda kits. Quick Sinclair, I really like the Rogue Doc. Yeah, Rogue Doc's cool. You wouldn't want to go to him for a checkup, would you? Ain't going to work out the best, I don't think. And Jay likes the Palanite look ace to me, the Enforcers. You've got some, haven't you, Jay? Have you painted them up yet? They need to hit the Underhive. I've actually got a set of them to build, and I've got a set of the Corpse Grinders as well. So I might go on a bit of a Necromunda painting spree the next few weeks and get some gangs up, because then if we are having some games in Necromunda, I can have some forces built up, so anyone who's maybe not played it before can have a go with them. Equally, I'd like us to do a kind of campaign on YouTube, so having a few different forces and make it a bit more interesting. Jay says, no, I'm ashamed to say I have not, sad face. Oh, it's all about the resin model of the female enforcer and her dog. That's a really cool model. I might have to get that myself. Jay says he'll paint Cawdor first. Yeah. So what I'd probably do, Jay, is hold fire until House of Faith comes out. It should be in the imminent future, because some of the books have changed some of the weapons options around that you can take. So yeah, there might be quite a few new options. What I often do, if I'm honest though, is I'll build a box stock just following the instructions, and then maybe get an additional kit and the upgrade sprues from Forge World to kind of fill out any cool special weapons or things that I've maybe missed out of me original force. And to be honest, over the course of the game, you can get new units and weapons and items and stuff. So it's definitely not a bad thing to just build them as they come out of the box. Especially if you're just kind of dipping your toe into Necromunda and seeing if you're going to enjoy it. Obviously, some gangs have got, like the Van Saar, for example. You could go very plasma cannon heavy, which would be super powerful. But the plasma cannon isn't in the standard plastic kit. It comes, I think you get one in one of the upgrade sets from Forge World. But rather than, jumping out immediately and buying all those upgrade kits to get all those plasma cannons, it's not necessarily a bad thing to build up the gang using the stock build from the plastic set and trying out some different games with it. And then if you find that you like them, you can always pick up an upgrade kit and another set of guys to use. So the good thing about Necromunda is that you guys will level up and advance and get different gear loadouts over the course of the campaign. So it's not necessarily a bad thing having different versions of you guys to represent different weapons they've picked up. I mean, back in Gorkamorka, which is a game that was based on the Necromunda rule set, but featured orcs. You could take your guy to the orc dock, and some horrific things could happen to them, like having their legs removed and replaced with a wheel. So yeah, that was always fun, and the game encouraged you to convert up a model to represent your now treaded orc. And that's the kind of stuff that always appealed to me with these kind of games, the story and the fun stuff that happens. There's less of that now in Necromunda. So in the Van Saar book, you can take not the Van Saar book, the Van Saar book. You can take like kind of cyber upgrades to your guys, but it says in the rule book that that obviously the technology is so advanced, you wouldn't necessarily be able to distinguish a guy with cybernetic upgrades over just a normal guy. So you don't have to convert up your models. Now you can do if you want to give them some cool cybernetics. I'd certainly give it a go. But yeah, you're not forced to convert up models if you're not comfortable with it, which is nice for accessibility and getting people into the game. So fully approve of that. But yeah, if you've not tried Necromunda, I definitely recommend giving it a go. It is great fun. It's in some ways it's more detailed than 40k. It's certainly more narrative. And I think it's a game that works well if there's a group of people playing with the same kind of like mindset of getting the story and the adventure out of it. It also really works well with somebody kind of like running the game. So like a dungeon master who might have some twists and turns planned. And the good thing is that they can always play a gang themselves. So maybe it's the local bounty hunters fall under their command, and they can maybe put the foot down when things go off plan. A certain gang's getting a bit big for their boots and are tearing ahead of the other gangs. Well, they might just get a visit from some bounty hunters, or maybe some of the lesser guilds get a bit annoyed with them and put a hit out for them. So all that kind of stuff's really fun and unpredictable if you've got somebody running it. And that's definitely what I'm planning on doing once we can play games. Setting up a bit of a storyline and having some cool twists and turns. And the plan is really to have that all chronicled on the website as well. So going back to Necromunda, Mordheim even, back in the day they had the town crier in White Dwarf, where it would kind of report on various events that have happened. I think I'd probably do a similar thing for Necromunda, where there's a weekly news post getting all the various gossiping news from the Underhive, and there might be some hints in that as to which way the story's going to go. There might be some kind of wild goose chases in there as well, but I thought that'd be something fun for the players to look at during the game. So I might start writing up some stuff because, yeah, I think that'd be a bit of fun. So yeah, Andy, if you're up for that, I'll put your name down. Equally, if anyone is in the kind of crew area and is up for some Necromunda once the world returns to normal, let us know over on Twitter. That's the more the merrier, basically. I also think when we can, when the world gets back to normal, running some kind of narrative event, whether it's Necromunda or 40k or something, and have a bit of a I use the term tournament, but run kind of a sprues and brews narrative event with some cool kind of more, I don't know, RPG-like moments. I'm kind of thinking that we run for 40k a kind of crusade event with some cool kind of narrative hooks and twists and cool kind of artifacts and upgrades that you can get just in that event, and write the kind of the whole pack, maybe with different teams representing the different factions. Obviously just an idea at the minute, and we can't do any events at the moment because of the restrictions, but it's definitely something I've thought about, and I think it'd be a bit of fun. Maybe even in conjunction with the unicorns, Andy. I'll be in touch. But yeah, I basically got a craving to play some cool games, so got some ideas for the kind of games I'd like to play when we can. Right, so we've nearly done the silver on these guys. So what we'll do now is block in the yellow on the arm panels. Unsure as to boots yet, but certainly the big chunky kind of panels and gut plates and stuff, they're going to be yellow, and then we'll have kind of leather straps for everything else. So we'll give the brush a clean, and we'll get some base colours down for this yellow. Brush is getting a bit gunky today. So yeah, what I'm going to do is use Instar Pure Oxide Yellow. I might need a couple of coats, but it goes on pretty well. And then basically block it all in yellow, and then we'll kind of weather it down and get some kind of some grime and chipped armour and stuff in there. Andy says I'm reading the quest for the ring bearer. Andy, I am absolutely up for playing through the storyline of Quest for the Ring Bearer when we can. Obviously using what models we've got. Might have to shift around some of the scenarios, but if you're up for doing that, I am absolutely up for it too. Dave says the setting for the campaign is Dave on a quest to see how many wands he can roll. Oh, and Jay has knocked his Aglax Earthshade. We need to have a minute silence for Jay's Aglax Earthshade. If it makes you feel any better, before the stream started, I managed to knock over half a pot of Gulliman flesh. Yeah, that was bad times. Kind of saw it happen in slow motion too. It's the taller pots, the kind of balance of them just make it really easy to knock them over and make a bit of a mess. So we have got some yellow. So like I say, we might need a couple of coats, but to be fair, this yellow's pretty strong out of the bottle. It is pre-thinned, but considering it's gone over black, that's not too bad. We're going to be going for a kind of weathered, worn look anyway, so we'll get this base coat down and then see how it looks. To be fair, that isn't looking too bad. It's a little bit grungy, but I kind of want a grungy yellow anyway. We'll definitely need another coat though. Cool, that looks pretty good. So we'll then build up the panels on this armour. And again, we're just putting the base coats down, so we'll go in with some kind of like recess washes and stuff later on. Another option for yellow, if you do want kind of like an initial layer for the yellow to stick to, brown can be good over black to just give a kind of base for it to adhere to. But to be fair, I think 2 coats this will be fine. Especially as we'll be going in with some brushes and stuff, sponges and stuff later on, to kind of grind this down a bit. Yeah. So yeah, when doing yellow, I wouldn't be too worried about trying to make this initial one look kind of super smooth. Just when we go back over it, it'll start looking a lot better. Robert Scott, evening troops, like the later start time, Matt. No worries. So yeah, basically we thought that the 12 o'clock stream might be a struggle for some people to make. So yeah, we decided to have it a bit later. So I'm glad if this works out for you guys. I'm also potentially going to stream on a Tuesday as well. Just sorting out the logistics of that. But if I do 2 streams a week, that does mean that I'll crack through this Necromunda stuff a lot quicker. So that's a plus. So what are you working on tonight, Rob? Anything exciting? We are painting some Necromunda slave ogres today. Part of a Necromunda gang. And yeah, these have sat in the box since Christmas, so good to get some paint on these and get them up to scratch. I've also got an Escher gang I want to do and some Van Saar I need to build. And I said earlier I'm going to do those in a Evangelion inspired colour scheme, so purples, greens, little flashes of orange in there. And what we're doing now is doing the yellow. Initial coat's a little patchy, but we'll go back in with the yellow again to get a nice smooth coat over it all. So I'm not being too precious about the yellow at the minute until that initial coat's dried. And then we'll do a more controlled layer. This basically just acts as a key for the yellow to stick to. And then we'll be a little bit more precise on the panels on the face, because we do want some silver still underneath them. And again, we'll want to go over this again a second time anyway. And then once the second coat of yellow's down, hopefully that should be a nice kind of base, ready for a slightly brighter yellow to go over it. I do like the yellow on the helmet's going on a bit better than on the chest. I think it's going over a kind of a silver base rather than the black. Yellow over black can be a little bit tricky at times, but yeah, don't try and kind of rush the first coat. Let it dry, then go over it again. and you should get a nice smooth coat, so don't be too worried about any blotchiness at this point, because we can fix it later on. And again, we're going with some kind of recessed washes in the various armour plates as well. So he's starting to get there. This bit will put yellow on his back. So Robert, the chaplain from Indomitus, did a minor conversion using the biker chaplain helmet and chest. Nice. That's cool. Got my homebrew chapter on the go. Slave Ogryn, potential servitor replacement for my Tech Marines. They're quite big. Have I got a Primaris Marine to hand to show the size difference? I do. So that's him. I reckon you could get away with him as a Tech Marine. Yeah, go for it. I think that would work. I'm not sure what size base the Tech Marine's on. He's probably on this size base as it is, so yeah, I think that would work. Definitely worth a shot. Undecided about the boots, whether they'll be yellow or a more grimy colour, so I'm going to leave the boots for now and we'll come back to them. This panel on the back's definitely yellow though. So we will pop that on there. So yeah, we're going to be streaming till about 9 today. So not masses of time left, but I'll probably be carrying on with these on the next stream. Previous shows I've kind of finished them off stream, so I think it'd be quite nice to kind of have these as a project to just do on the stream and then see them build up over the weeks. Plus it means that later shows will be more fun than watching me pop down some base colours as well. A little bit more interesting once we get to the more technical details. And yeah, I tend to batch paint stuff, so I'm not one for painting a single model to completion and then doing the rest of the squad. So these are in fact the test model, the whole squad. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Leave it to chaos, eh? Brush is getting a bit wonky, so just give that a clean. Oh, sorry, to replace the servitors. Well, they are on a big base, but they would fit. What are the servitors on? Are they on a 32mm base? They wouldn't fit on a 25mm. That'd be too small. 32mm you'd get away with though. And they'd work as servitors. I'm sure there'd be no issues with anybody having those as accounts as servitor. Especially if you can give them what can they take? Multi-melters and heavy bolters and stuff. Off the top of my head. Been a long time since I've seen the servitor models. They certainly have big power fists and claws and stuff, so yeah, I think these would work as servitors. Definitely more exciting looking than the standard servitor models. So what's everybody think about the lack of pre-orders for the last couple of weeks? I know some people have been disappointed that they can't get new things, but I mean, it's understandable that they want to make sure everything's caught up and everything's working as it should do before they start taking pre-orders again. Yeah, it means we don't get our toys quite as quick as we'd want, but it's not the end of the world, is it, really? Plus, Curse City is so close I can taste it. That's what I'm really excited about. Really looking forward to painting the models from them. I've got a feeling there might be a good chunk of stream time spent painting the Curse City stuff. And I reckon we can get some pretty rapid expansions for it as well. So that vampire with the rats they showed off on Warhammer Community last week, I've got a feeling that he might be from an expansion. Just because of the fact that he hails from the same city as the characters from Curse City. I can't remember when the Dreaded Amble came out, but I don't think it was too long after the original release of Blackstone Fortress. I mean, in fact, some of the cards had the Amble on the back of the cards anyway, and I think we'd talked about it on an early podcast at the time, and lo and behold, the Dreaded Amble was the first expansion for the game. Yeah, the old servitors are looking really dated, Robert. They're a bit rubbish compared to modern models. It's one of those, isn't it? They do try and make as many models stay valid for as long as possible, but sometimes if a kit's just that old, it makes sense to replace the concept in some way. Hence stuff going into Legends and maybe not being available all the time. Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Forge World as well, they tend to discontinue stuff quite regularly, really. Obviously, we've seen all the Chaos Dwarfs go for Fantasy, and before that, a lot of Deathcore stuff's disappeared. The thing is, though, I'd never have any issue someone using an old model in a friendly game. Like I was saying earlier, I much prefer kind of like as far as events go, kind of Throne of Skulls, narrative events. I'm not the most, certainly not a pro player by any stretch. I tend to turn up for the food and have a punt with best army. And if I get on the podium, then that's a bonus. But yeah, fun games with cool people is what I look for in a tournament. Jay says, "Where are all the elves? Why are all the things I want delayed?" Your things that you want are always delayed, Jay. So if you don't know, if you're not a listener to the podcast, Jay was super excited about Sylvaneth. And then the Sylvaneth were stuck on a ship in quarantine, I believe, and were delayed for a while. Jay was then excited about the Lumineth, and then there was a global pandemic that broke out, meaning that they were delayed a little while. And Jay's excited about this current wave of Lumineth releases, and games which have had a bit of a pause on the release schedule. So I put Jay solely responsible for any delays in the schedule, because it's whenever he gets excited about something, they end up delaying it. Robert, I like the idea of them catching up and taking a breather. It's been pretty relentless. It really has been. Games Workshop's releases of late have been pretty rapid fire. It's rare that we get a bit of a break in the schedule recently. I've messed up the shoulder here. Fix that later on. So yeah, definitely good for the wallet too. Yeah, Andy says the same. I'm happy. Give my wallet a rest. It does mean that me vampires are probably a bit further off than I'd have liked, but like I say, when Curse City comes out, that'll give my vampire fix bit of something to paint, and then hopefully by the end of the year we get the full Soul Blight Gravelords range, and that'll be really exciting. I can see a lot of people starting a new Undead Force Rage of Sigmar when all that comes out. Robert says, savour those Wardens, Jay. Are you doing them now or distracted by Blood Angels? Jay is indeed distracted by Blood Angels. I'm trying to get 3k finished before all the new elves arrive. How much have you got left to paint to the Blood Angels, Jay? like I say, I've got a couple of units from my Sons of Horus that I really should start on this week. It always feels good, doesn't it, to complete an army. So yeah, I need to get on that myself, really. So yeah, a little bit messy with these first. Again, just letting that dry, and then we'll go over it again with a second coat. It just lets it kind of prime it and adhere to it, and get a nice little basis down for the yellow colour. Don't try and like rush yellow by putting it on really heavily, because it'll just look a bit naff. And this, I'm using the Instar paints, and they're pre-thinned, so you will expect it to be a little bit streaky in the initial one. Over white, this stuff goes on beautifully, and potentially you can get it down with one coat. But because we had quite a lot of metallics on here, I primed it black, and it kind of adds to the kind of grungy look that they've got. 1,300 points, is that left to go? That's not too much. You can churn that out in a week, Jay. In fact, we need to get you on this stream soon, Jay. Painting your Blood Angels, that'd be cool. I'd like to watch that. I'll have a week off and sit on the production booth and man the cameras while you paint some Blood Angels, if you like. That'd be a bit of fun. Model terms, 40 infantry and a couple of tanks. Okay, a little bit more then. 40 infantry. See, I still think you need to buy an airbrush, Jay. Makes painting power armor so easy. Obviously, like anything, there's a bit of a learning curve, but yeah, I enjoy using the airbrush on stuff. I mean, I could have done like the flesh and stuff on these with them, but I mean, there's only 6 of them. I haven't really got a super fine detail airbrush, so I tend to use it for kind of scenery, for basing stuff, and for power armor. So Space Marines, beautiful to do with the airbrush, dead easy. You can go down with an initial coat. You can do kind of a zenithal highlight with a different colour. And then it's just a case of doing a bit of a recess wash, doing another sharp highlight, and the job's done. Dead quick. Vehicles as well are super quick to do with an airbrush. If you look back on the channel, I actually painted up, what was I doing? A Land Raider, I think, and a Termite on a couple of the early streams. And they were dead easy to do using the airbrush too. And some people knock it as not proper painting. It's just another tool, isn't it? Just another tool to add to your arsenal. Jay came here to paint Blood Angels and spill Agrax, and I've spilt my Agrax. Yep. It's always the way, isn't it? I really should invest in some of those, the little plastic stands that Games Workshop sell. Or even just blue tack it to the table. Because, yeah, like I said earlier, I knocked over a pot of Gulliman flesh. I'm normally pretty good for not knocking paint over. But, yeah, I've had a few moments over the last few weeks. Last week or the week before, my airbrush had a blockage and backfired, and I ended up with Caliban green all over the floor. Probably serves me right for painting Caliban green. I blame the Dark Angels for that one. So we've only got 5 or so minutes left on the stream. So what I'm going to do is go back, give this another coat of the yellow just to show how that kind of applies over initial coat. And then between streams, what I might do is get the rest of the yellow down and then next time we'll carry on from the other colours then. So as you can see there, that second coat is covering a lot better. So we'll stick this over. And we'll make sure that the paint's kind of dry between the layers, because otherwise what you'll find you'll do is actually tear the paint from the model, and that's where you'll get it kind of like a blotchy kind of pattern forming. And you might sometimes find if you're doing it over a dark colour, like we're going over black here, you might need to do another coat just to finish it off. Again, that's fine. You're better off taking your time rather than trying to rush it. But to be fair, yellow's looking okay. Looking a lot stronger than it was. Cool. So we've got this little plate down here. We've got this detail up on the shoulder. This crest round here. Yellow can be a hard colour to paint, especially over dark colours, so yeah, I'd just take your time. With yellow, like on hazard stripes and stuff, I'd paint the yellow first and then do the black. If you do the other way around, you'll have the problem we've got here, where it'll take you a couple of coats to build up the yellow, where if you do it over white, get the yellow first and then go in and add the black, you'll find it gives a better finish. I think we might have some hazard stripes on this guy as well. I think that's a very Necromunda thing that I feel we need to add. A bit more yellow paint. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching us paint some Necromunda today. And again, I hope the 7 o'clock slot works better for you guys as well. Like I say, open to any feedback if any particular days. You know, does a weekday work better than a weekend? Let us know over on Twitter, and we can always move around the schedule a little bit. I want to try and accommodate as many people as possible, because it's basically just an excuse to paint along with you guys. Equally, if you're watching this in the far future via the saved version of this on the website, hi, how you doing? Let us know if there's a certain time that you'd be able to watch it live, and if you've enjoyed what you've seen. Cool, so the yellow on this guy is very nearly done. I think that's looking good. I'll probably do as the base yellow, then we'll go on with some highlights with a brighter yellow, then weather it all down. But he's getting there, isn't he? So we've just got this to do on another 5 Ogryns. Like I say, we probably won't get this done on the stream today, but I wanted to at least get the yellow finished on a couple of these guys, just to show you the effect that we were going for. So I hope you have managed to get some painting done yourselves, managed to clear some of your backlog, and yeah, get some paint on some models. But yeah, these are really nice models. I do recommend picking up some of these if you do get the chance. You can take them in most Necromunda gangs, so yeah, it gives you a bit of an excuse to paint something different and mix things up. Andy was says, yeah, it's been great fun. Cheers, Andy. Hope it's giving you some entertainment on this this Sunday evening. So yeah, my clock's saying it's 9 o'clock unfortunately though, so I think we're going to have to call it there for the stream. But yeah, if you've enjoyed us, let us know on Twitter, at Sprues and Brews. If you've got any suggestions of what you'd like us to paint next time, let us know. And yeah, we'll hopefully get the yellow done on these ready for next time. And then in the next show, we'll start painting some of the undersuit, and then yeah, start weathering them up and adding some more grisly details to them. So yeah, until next time guys, we'll see you later, and hope you've enjoyed the stream. Bye!